History Alive production of the founding of Lanesboro, 1869. Now, first of all, I must ask you a favor. It's a technical term in theater called the willing suspension of disbelief. Simply means that when you came in that door, it may have been 2019, while you're sitting here, it is 1869. You've lost 150 years. I'd like to thank our wonderful Lanesboro Community Brass Band and our wonderful children in the parade. Now, my name is Clark Thompson, and I'm pleased that you're here. I must express some gratitude to one of our local residents, Charles Johnson. He's the owner of this establishment, this cabin that you're in. In fact, this is one of the first buildings ever built in Lanesboro. We owe a debt of gratitude to Charlie for that. In fact, that street that you probably walked down to get here, not too long ago, that was Charlie's cornfield. Now, I'd like to bring up a local resident. She'd like to tell you a little bit about herself and her history. Her name is Julia Leahy.
Welcome, everyone. The very first home built on the Johnson cornfield in 1868 was built by my husband, John Leahy, and me. John, he worked for the railroad, but now he runs a B&B just down on East Street. Dennis Galligan also built a home in 1868. Both of these places are down by the North Bluff. I wish I could host all of you in our home, but we have 11 children.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. 11 children. I've waited 12 long years for this day. Why, 1869 is such a hopeful year. Right? Ulysses S. Grant has been elected our 18th president. And the War of Rebellion, although some of you may know it as the war between the states, is finally over. Bright days are ahead. I can feel it. I think we have in our midst a real war hero, someone who is in that war. I'd like to bring him up and show your appreciation to him, Mr. B.A. Mann. Well, I'm proud to be one of the founding members of the Lanesboro Town Site Company. Now, this company has transformed this village like America has transformed the West. We're ever expanding westward. Progress. In fact, I've heard tell that there's been 2 trains, one that started from the West Coast and one that started from the East Coast. And they met in a place called Promontory Point in the territory of Utah. So think of it. Now, within less than a week's time, you can travel from one coast to the other. all possible because we moved the Redskins out. Now we can civilize southern Minnesota, just like we've done here right in Lanesboro. Why, for hundreds of years, this valley just lay unkept, unutilized, didn't produce any material wealth whatsoever. And now, well, some of you, I'm sure, are farmers. You're producing, well, tobacco and wheat. And we're going to be able to grind our own wheat at our mill using our damn power. Now the tourists come by train from the East Coast to visit our town, to see our great dam and lake, and stay in the luxurious Phoenix Hotel very soon. Now about a year ago, a man by the name of Luke Christie came to town, and he became the first editor of the Lanesboro Herald. First edition was September 10th, 1869. And well, things were changing so fast that he came here and he thought he would have a building to work in. But it wasn't ready yet. So what did he do? Well, he set up some crates and some barrels and boards under a tree. And he set up his printing press right out in the open. Now I'd like to read a quote that Mr. Christie had to say. We think Lanesboro is destined to become the main town of southern Minnesota. Everything is here for a thriving town. We have 2 stone quarries, a lime kiln, water power owner rivaled by St. Anthony Falls up in the St. Paul area. Fillmore County is the most populated county in Minnesota. And we will be the pride of Minnesota! End quote. Now the company is spending over $75,000 on this project. The dam, we bought in the dam, the train, the lake, the road up the bluff on the west side. We have 2 dry goods stores, a grocery store, drug stores. We have doctors and coopers, harness makers, millineries, and hotels. More hotels than you can count. We also have a big, clear, blue spring water. We have it piped up to the south bluff into a tank. And that tank can provide us with 7,000 pounds of pressure to every house and drugstore and business in Lanesboro.
I want to congratulate you on your fine spring water. I think that we're way ahead of Chicago here in Lanesboro. I used to live in Chicago, and I'll tell you, the water there is terrible. It's full of cholera and all ends of illnesses that you can find. It's terrible stuff. You can't even make liquor out of it. But here in Lanesboro, we're on the right track.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. And now, I'd like to bring up my brother, James Thompson, who's decided that he's going to spend some time here and I think build a mill for us. James?
I too am happy to live in a town with clean water. Water for drinking and water for power. Our town blacksmith, Ole Glasseau, has recently created the sulky plow so that farmers needn't walk when they plow. They can plant many more acres this way. Plus, there's the train to Chicago. Invention is the American way.
Invitation to the people of the world.
Now, I'd like to introduce our new agent to the Lanesboro Townsite Company that will help usher us into the future. And that is Mr. B.A. Mann.
You're doing that very well, Mr. Thompson. Being a man, that is. But seriously, I can't imagine a better job that I have than this town, help make this town a success, really. There's houses, buildings going up daily. A couple of months we're going to have tourism with the new Phoenix Hotel. And it's going to just grow and grow. Now, I understand this town could have been built, or might have been built, downriver at Mr. Peterson's. Could you address that, or?
Yes, I could.
Thank you.
This town was nearly built at Peterson's about 10 years ago by my brother and the company. It was going to be called Wasonia, but sadly it didn't work out. You see, my brother has been involved in government long before this project even began. He represented us at the Minnesota legislature in St. Paul and in Washington under President Lincoln.
That I did. Now, I was in the territorial legislature, and then in 1860, President Lincoln himself appointed me to the Northern Superintendency of Indian Affairs. Now, I had 3 tribes under my jurisdiction. There were the Sioux, the Chippewa, and the Winnebago. It was my job to provide food and clothing to them. As little as possible. Well, you know them Indians. They're lazy. They didn't need all that food anyway. Well, if they just farmed like you good folks, they wouldn't have any problem. Well, gradually we developed a plan to move the Indians out west, out of the state of Minnesota. And as you can see, in Lanesboro here, I think we've done a pretty good job. Well, Santee, Dakota, we cleared the land of them. And the Chippewa and the Winnebago, well, they're subdued. They're not going to give us any trouble. And you settlers, you have no fear of them Redskins anymore. Well, I'm sure you're as happy about that as I am. You breathe a sigh of relief. This wonderful land has finally become civilized.
I have someone else to introduce. And that is Mrs. Michael Annie Scanlon. Mr. Michael Scanlon is currently representing us at the Minnesota legislature.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. My husband, the Honorable Mr. Michael Scanlon, sends his greets and congratulations. I, too, was one of those who lived on town land when it was farmed. My brother, Ed Enright, and I escaped the famine in Ireland and bought land just to the south of here in the area we call Brooklyn now. Now, there's Christensen, a Norwegian. He farmed the land where the new lake lies. My husband Michael and his brother Con, they walked all the way from the Mississippi in 1856 to buy land here. Their family, father, mother, another brother and sister also hailed from Ireland during the famine. They spent several years in Ohio before settling just to the southwest of us. Now all the Scanlon sons own their own farms just to the west of us, around the bluff on Scanlon Road, near the Indian Trail and the south branch of the Root River. Michael and Con also run Scanlon Abbott Hardware Store. Now we have time for a wonderful tune from those days in the 1850s, the Little Old Sod Shanty.
He is looking round the city as he's holding down his plane, and his victuals are not always of the best, and the mice play shyly round him as he nestles down to rest in his little old sod shanty in the west.
music this morning, and my wife Mary would be happy to play a jig for us and shake a leg. Well, you can all stand up and shake a leg if you like.
Sure thing. Thanks, John. Let's see. I think I'll do a reel instead of a jig. Is that all right?
Sorry, English now. My name is Knut Knudsen. I am one of 3 brothers that came here in 1848 from Sogna, Norway. We first settled in Koshkon, Wisconsin. Then in 1854, Rognald, Tolef, my 2 brothers, and my wife and I, we came to this area and we acquired land from just north of the North Branch all the way down to the South Branch. We lived in the Brook River settlement, the Norwegian portion. Now the land was good and our children had done well. The railroad has been a blessing, and we thank the Lanesboro Townsite Company for that. Prior to that time, for 13 years, I would haul my grain to market in ox cart wagon and hauled it to Winona. And that's 30 miles each way. The first day I'd ford the North Branch and go up the Casey Hill and then across to North Prairie, where I'd spend the first night. Then on to Enterprise, near Neoka or Fremont, where if I had money, I'd stay the second night in Enterprise. Don't tell Pastor about me staying in Enterprise. And then the third night, we'd go on the third day on to Winona, down the Viscoy Valley, where we'd load the market grain onto the steamboats to take to Chicago for the market. And you know, I have a little song here that we'd like to do to talk about the farmers. When the farmer comes to town with his wagon broken down, yes, they'll know that the farmer feeds them all. If you'll only look and see, I am sure that you'll agree that the farmer is the man who feeds them all.
The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, lives on credit till the fall. Then they take him by the hand and they lead him from his land, and the middleman's the one who gets it all.
When the banker says he's broke and the merchant's up in smoke, they'll forget that the farmer feeds them all. It would put it to the test if the farmer took a rest, can they know that the farmer feeds them all?
The farmer is the man, the farmer is the man, lives on credit till the fall. Then they take him by the hand and they lead him from his land, and the middleman's the one who gets it all. Yes, the middleman's the one who gets it all.
Now I'd like my wife to come up and say a few words. Ann Knudsen.
I am Ann Knudsen Bell. We had 3 young children when we came here from Wisconsin. Luckily, brother and mother came too. I think we were the first cabin in the settlement. It was so frightening to be so far from a town. Knut's brother died in '62, and my brother's wife died in '64. because there was no doctor for either of them. In those days, we had church in our homes with Pastor Corin, Pastor Svi of Newburgh, and other circuit riding pastors. I put my white lace cloth on my table, and that's what we used for an altar. Oh, I scrubbed every corner of our cabin. And since that time, we have come together to form the Lone Tree Church up on the ridge. Some like to call it Union Prairie Church, but I still prefer Lone Tree. Knut decided that we needed to add a new name. So we added the name Bell, like Bjelby, which was our farm in Norway.
My brother Tolf is out putting up hay right now, but I'd like his wife to come up, Anna Heg Knutsen Bell, to tell a little bit of what life was like here 15 years ago.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am here with my son Andrew Bell and my daughter Jenny Bell, and I just want to tell you all how thrilled and excited my husband Tolf and I are for their future. Tolf is a full 10 years younger than Knut, and he arrived here a young, handsome man. We met down at the Washington Prairie Church, which where Pastor Corin was the pastor. And we fell in love, and we got married, not all in one day. But soon after that, my Tolf built our family a beautiful cabin. We are just up the south branch of the route there. And on the land there are white pine trees, and there are white rocks, and he cut the white pines and he dug the rocks for our foundation, and he found a huge boulder already in the ground that serves as our patio. And on our little land, he built a 3-story log cabin, like a palace. So we hope someday you will come visit us all. We're just west of town on the South Branch River. Now, south of our farm is the farm of Skari and his lovely wife, Julia, and she has come along. Men are doing their hay. She will be playing Hardanger fiddle for you from Norway. She has with her son, Oscar.
Thank you, Mrs. Violet. Now, Oscar, would you like to tap the tune out for us? Okay, good.
Thank you. And now it's time for a tune and a dance from our Lanesboro brass band. Feel free to clap. Your tour of the town site construction will begin with our new agent, Mr. B.A. Mann, as your guide.
I would like to welcome you out to the quarry, and we'll talk about the railroad history that's just being made right now. And so would you join me, please? I'll just right out here. Follow me. Thank you.